I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, February the 29th, 2016. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced today that he will visit Kenya this summer, making him the first Israeli leader to visit the continent of Africa in 50 years. Netanyahu said he received an invitation from visiting Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta last week and would visit Kenya and likely Uganda as well, around the 40th anniversary of the legendary rescue mission by Israel, the raid at Entebbe at the Ugandan airport. On July the 4th of 1976, Netanyahu's brother Yonatan led the Israeli commandos on the mission. He was killed in action. When Netanyahu met last week with Kenyatta, the two leaders signed an agreement to cooperate on issues such as water and agriculture. They also discussed ways to battle a common enemy, Islamic terrorism. Netanyahu said today, Israel is coming back to Africa, Africa is coming back to Israel. It's happening in a big way, adding it's happening now because it's so clear that it's good for Africa and good for Israel. And staying with the Prime Minister, Netanyahu met today with new Egyptian Ambassador Hazem Kairat. Kairat had presented his credentials last week to Israeli President Reuven Rivlin in Jerusalem. He is the first Egyptian envoy to Israel since 2012, when then Ambassador Atif Salam was recalled to Cairo shortly after his arrival in the wake of Israel's Operation Pillar of Defense in Gaza. At today's meeting, Netanyahu and Kairat were said to have discussed Israel-Egypt relations, regional issues, and prospects for peace with the Palestinians. Israeli forces have arrested the Palestinian suspect who is said to have attacked and seriously wounded an Israeli security guard in Ma'ale Adumim. 21-year-old Saadi Ali Abu Hamad is suspected of attacking 48-year-old Zvika Cohen with an axe at a shopping mall in the West Bank city Thursday night. A family member turned him into police Saturday night. Cohen apparently knew Abu Hamad, who worked at the mall. Abu Hamad asked him to open the elevator doors and then proceeded to strike Cohen several times. Cohen is on a respirator and continues to fight for his life at Hadassah University Medical Center in Jerusalem. And Israel's security agency, the Shin Bet, announced today that two Palestinian brothers were arrested for carrying out several shooting attacks against IDF soldiers and Israeli civilians late last year and early this year, wounding a number of them. The Shin Bet released for publication today that 23-year-old Nasser Badwi and 33-year-old Akram Badwi, the younger said to be a member of Hamas, had been arrested. The two reportedly used homemade sniper rifles to carry out the shootings near the tomb of the patriarchs. Today was supposed to begin the trial of former SS medic Hubert Zafke in Germany for aiding in thousands of murders at the Auschwitz death camp during the Holocaust. However, a court in New Brandenburg suspended the trial after the 95-year-old experienced some health problems last night. A doctor examined Zafke, finding him suffering from stress and hypertension and suicidal thoughts, and saying he was not in a state to be transported to the court. Zafke stands accused of aiding in the murders of 3,681 people while working as a medic at the Nazi death camp from August the 15th to September the 14th of 1944. Prosecutors charged that by serving there, he, quote, knew of and willingly supported the industrially organized mass killing people in an insidious and cruel manner. Zafke will now receive a second medical opinion, which the court will review. Last night at the 88th Annual Academy Awards, the Hungarian Holocaust drama Son of Saul was named Best Foreign Language Film. The film is set in 1944 Auschwitz and tells the story of a Jewish inmate and the role he is forced to play in the camp in order to survive. The title role is played by Jewish Hungarian poet Giza Rohring. The American Jewish Committee praised Florida's House of Representatives for passing a measure against the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement, which seeks to delegitimize the State of Israel. The bill was adopted last week by a vote of 112 to 2. It prohibits Florida from doing business with companies that boycott Israel. The measure unanimously passed in the Florida Senate last month. It is now expected to be signed into law by Governor of the Sunshine State, Rick Scott. Other state legislators that have passed similar measures include Alabama, Illinois, Indiana, New York, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Regional Director of the AJC's Miami and Broward office, Brian Siegel, said Florida clearly rejects the BDS movement's efforts to encourage punitive actions against Israel. He said BDS does not advance peace, which only will be achieved in direct bilateral negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS from Monday, February the 29th. At 7 o'clock, it's advice from Dr. Ruth Westheimer. At 7:30, President of the Ruderman Family Foundation, Jay Ruderman, discusses how his foundation advocates for full inclusion of people with disabilities in the Jewish community. At 8 o'clock, Washington Bureau Chief of the Jewish Forward, Nathan Gutman, analyzes whether American Jews are likely to vote for the Republican candidate in the 2016 presidential election. That's from JBS's exclusive coverage of Limmud, New York 2016 from the Hilton in Stamford, Connecticut. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with leading psychiatrist Rabbi Dr. Avraham Twerski on L'chaim, followed at 10 o'clock by the future of U.S.-Israeli relations discussed by Dahlia Rabin and Aaron David Miller at the 92nd Street Y. And that's the JBS News Update from Monday, February the 29th, 2016. I'm Teisha Bader.